And
It started.
it started.
Yep.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our webinar on building a sustainable future. I'm going to start by sharing my screen before I go any further. Oh, I did share my screen. I'm
I
presenting.
think it's already shared.
Okay. So there we go. So we put together the slides are fairly basic. They're mostly just placeholder to know where we are and what we're supposed to talk about. But we'll go through them. So we're going to talk a little bit about who SPDL is, what we do, and why we do it. Then we're going to talk about what sustainable development is and why it's important. We're going to talk about the three key areas, at least for us, that are entailed in sustainable development. And we'll have a quick case study of one of our projects at 10 Guildford Court and how we've implemented some of the sustainable development techniques, if you will, that we're going to talk about, how they apply to this project. Then we'll have a Q&A session at the end. So we'll turn it over to Maria.
So yeah, this is us, as you can recognize us, hopefully. My picture is not so old yet. And most of you, who are not all, you know us. We are founders of our company. And we started about 10 years ago with secondary dwellings. And then we turned into co-living, mostly student properties. Then we found the microsuite concept, which we really love. And also we started building the new build ourselves. And then went through the course on net zero buildings, and that turned us really on to sustainable development. Especially now we have 4 kids, and we want to leave the planet as good as we can for them, which sustainability can provide. And we always do everything for our tenants, like we would live in our properties ourselves. They are our most valued customers. So we also know that for them, living in sustainable properties is so much more enjoyable than in just regular rental units. So we're hoping they'll appreciate it just as we do. Yep. So this is short about us.
Captured all the high points, I think.
Okay, good.
So now we're going to talk about what sustainable real estate development is, and have a definition for it. The definition, well, it's right there now, means fulfilling the needs of the current generation without compromising the needs of future generations. So sustainable is something that could be done again and again and again, and it doesn't wear out, if you will, the environment. Excuse me. And to execute sustainable development effectively needs to be done while ensuring a balance between economic growth, environmental care, and social well-being. And those three concepts, economic, environmental, and social sustainability, those are the essence of what sustainable development looks like. So some of we'll talk a little bit more about that and the importance of sustainability in property development. For context, real estate development is one of the largest global industries, regardless of how you measure it, whether it's GDP, total dollars spent, people employed. It's one of, if not the largest global industry, and so making it sustainable is very important in terms of keeping the planet healthy as we go forward. Right now, we have 8 billion people roughly on the planet, and the projection is that by 2050, we'll have 10 billion people on the planet.
It doesn't tell me anything really.
Okay, so to put this in perspective, that 2 billion growth over the next 26 years, about 6 million people a month.
Okay.
And 6 million people a month is roughly the size of the greater Toronto area population. So we're adding a GTA to our planet population every month.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. So if we want to be able to preserve our planet and pass it to our children in as good or better condition than we inherited, all that development needs to be done in a sustainable fashion. So besides the need to do it because it's the right thing to do, we're also being obliged to do it because the UN and all the charter nations in the UN have signed a number of agreements that speak specifically to sustainable development goals. Canada, I think, is committed that all new construction will be net zero by 2030. I think that's very aggressive, but nonetheless, it's been signed into policy, and we also expect all the existing buildings to be net zero by 2050, if I'm not mistaken. So that's also going to be quite a challenge, given the age and the condition of
That's
the.
a question: how they're gonna be turned over to the sustainable?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
that-
Gonna be.
So these things are just going to help real estate development step forward as for sure the largest economic force on the planet, if it isn't already.
Okay.
So the federal government, provincial government are implementing legislation and policies that drive us towards sustainable development as well. And even when we get down to the level of our lenders, CMHC has a number of programs in place that are driven by the government sustainability goals. So the need for sustainable development has been recognized and identified at the UN level, at the national level, provincial level. Not so much at the city level, but
They do.
They're coming along too.
Recognize. They
coming along too.
create a new official plan.
Fair enough.
Zoning.
Fair enough. They do. You're right. You're right.
Implementation is questionable.
Yes, they recognize the need. The implementation would be a challenge.
Yes.
Fair enough. Okay. So
Okay.
I'll let Maria talk about the key areas of sustainability.
So yeah, there are largely recognized 3 key areas of sustainable development, and they very tightly intertwined. One just goes smoothly to another, and it's environmental sustainability, economic sustainability, and social sustainability. We'll talk about them like next, but it's a lot of things to implement. And if you, in your development or in your home, even in your anything, you want to implement sustainability and you cannot implement everything, it doesn't mean you shouldn't try to do at least what you can. I'd rather do little than nothing and be encouraged of what you can do for your improvement and improvement of our planet. And it's very big topic, so we cannot cover everything. We'll just scratch the surface today. And yeah, well, let's start, I guess.
Okay.
Scratching.
All right, I'll take the first one because it's a particular interest to me.
Yeah, Vanna's a fan of this kind of.
Yeah. So environmental sustainability, there's a number of different aspects that can be discussed with respect to that. Oh, went too far, man. Let's talk about net zero design. So net zero, for people who don't know what it is, I know there's a few people on the call who definitely do, maybe better than me even. But net zero construction means implementing or designing and constructing a building that generates as much energy as it consumes over an annual period. So that generation can come in the form of solar panels, windmills, geothermal, however you can pull energy out of our environment, and that energy, you can pull enough of it out of the environment to meet the needs of the building. Excuse me. Of course, to do that, one way is to generate a lot of energy. A more efficient way is to reduce the amount of energy you need to operate the building, and you reduce that energy consumption by building a very tight envelope, minimizing the leakage of the envelope, having very efficient.
So you can go probably forever on this topic. Maybe we can, create another webinar on this one. So can you go on the next one? We don't have like forever today, okay?
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
But, yeah, I think it's a great idea. Van he can talk forever on this topic.
maybe.
forever and ever. And yeah, I think we can just rather create it, and let's just do main points today.
Okay.
And,
So net zero construction is an important aspect of environmental sustainability. It makes a better building that requires less energy, and also puts systems in place to create energy on the land. And that's at the federal government level, they see it as a big step forward towards achieving good environmental sustainability. The next thing we're going to talk about are green building certifications. Those are things like LEED and BREEAM, and these are frameworks to measure the carbon footprint of the construction of your building. They are they are fairly costly things to do, and they're rarely done at the small building scale. They tend to be done at large building scale. I know the federal government, when they construct things, they usually have LEED requirements for them. Most residential buildings, not so much, but it is a way of measuring how clean your building is as you build it. Another thing we're going to talk about, water conservation, something that in Canada we have more water than anywhere else in the world for the population that we have. But if we don't manage how well we use it, then we have the issue of having to clean it after it goes through our systems, and that costs us the same amount of money as it costs just about anywhere else. So while we have a lot of it to use, keeping it clean at the end of the day is a costly endeavor, both in terms of the infrastructure you have to put in place and the ongoing cost of keeping that up. So conserving water is a great way to help with sustainability. Waste reduction, that comes in the, well, actually, sorry, that's you, babe.
okay, well, waste reduction, yes, that was my topic, the favorite one, or not. But yeah, most of the, as you well know, that most of the cities and provinces, all of them, I'm sure, have different ways to save the waste and do I forgot the word, storage and recycling. Thank you. We're not as good as in Europe here, where they can recycle pretty much everything, but we're doing our share. And Ottawa, for example, now we're gonna bring also a new bylaw about 3 garbage bag per household from September 30, 2022, to encourage people to do more recycling. Though I'm not sure how it's gonna work with additional dwellings, because the 3 garbage bags will only work for the main dwelling, and if you have 2 additional dwellings, you would have to share all these 3 bags among all 3 dwellings, which is suboptimal, I would think. But we'll see how it will be implemented and working. Hopefully, it will be good. And yeah, natural landscaping is my favorite topic, actually, because I do love natural landscaping, and it's few things I love in it. It's reduced water and need for irrigation, water use and need for irrigation, because native plants, they're really adapted to the environment where they're growing. They don't need frequent watering. And if you replace lawn with native plants, then you reduce your mowing. I mean, you eliminate it, and water consumption going to almost zero. They also prevent runoff, because they can absorb the water that drops on the ground after the rain. And the planting trees as well. If it was a study, if the street is heavily planted with trees, the temperature on the street can be as much as 10 degrees lower than in the summer, than in the street that it's not heavily treated.
Shade certainly does make a difference.
Yeah, and so we are planning to implement this in all our developments too, when you can remove all the lawn and put native landscaping, do once or twice a year maintenance, and then you don't need to do anything about it. That's perfect.
All right. The next aspect of sustainability we're going to explore a little is economic sustainability, and well, the image here is actually is focused on the last bullet we're going to discuss. So I'll leave it till then. But if people, I'm not sure if people recognize it. It's an image from the City of Ottawa's official plan. So touche to my wife for saying that our city is also taking up sustainable development in a fairly effective way. So on the topic of sustainable development, let's talk about cost efficiency. And from a development perspective or a planning perspective, cost efficiency is about using economic building materials, ensuring that your design gets the best use from the building, trying to reduce operating costs through energy and water savings, and enhancing a building's value. Some examples of cost efficiency would be selecting materials like wood that are fairly cost effective and also have a fairly low carbon footprint. So it's a great building material.
Ice blocks.
Ice blocks. A little further north we get ice block from there. I might have some structural problems with that too.
Those are temporary housing.
Those would be temporary housing. Even in Ottawa, they'd be temporary housing. We haven't skated on the canal in 2 years.
Temporary accommodations, yes.
Yeah. So another aspect of economic sustainability is ensuring that your buildings are designed for the long term. So
ice wouldn't work here, I guess.
Ice wouldn't. That's why ice is a good thing.
Oh yes, sorry about that.
So yeah, you want to make sure your buildings have exterior cladding that's going to last a long time. You want to make sure your building design is such that it's going to be appropriate for use for a long period of time. You want to put in systems into your building that are going to be cost effective to operate and fairly straightforward to replace when they reach end of life. So things like that ensure your building's going to stand up over time. The next one's pretty obvious. It's return on investment.
It's a good one.
That's a great one. So these are not low-income housing developments that we work on. Everything that we do is meant to provide a return to us and to our investors. And so to make sure that we can do that, you want to incorporate in your building features that make sure you're going to maintain very high occupancy rates. You're going to get good rent premiums because people are going to want to live in the space that you've built. You're also looking for low turnover, and once people are in places that are comfortable to live in, particularly if they're experienced renters and they understand how nice the environment is in your space versus the spaces they've rented previously, they're going to be a lot less inclined to move, and lower turnover is a great feature for any building.
Happy tenant, happy landlord.
That's very true. and you can speak to that very effectively.
Yes.
So yeah, return on investment, it's about designing sustainability into your building so that you get a better value back for your building.
Okay, sustainable urban planning. That's my favorite one again.
Yeah.
And that's the picture, like Van said, from City of Ottawa website. And this represents sustainable urban planning. It's a broad topic as itself, and I love it. It mostly means integrating middle housing. Middle housing. It's
Missing.
2, 3.
You say missile.
Missing middle housing. I thought I said missing middle.
You said it now perfectly.
Okay. Well, so missing middle housing is I think everybody knows what it is, but this is one of the key aspects of the sustainable planning. They stop if you plant those houses in the urban core, you can stop sprawl, which stop in response the carb usage for the people, and stop taking the lands from the agriculture or parks or greenery. and also creates a much better usage of existing infrastructure.
Did we want to give a good definition for missing middle housing?
Yeah, sure. That would be like what we can say. Missing middle development. It's a house scale buildings featuring multiple units that reside in walkable neighborhoods. They encourage sustainable urban growth by making efficient use of land and infrastructure and reducing the need for urban sprawl. So it's basically, I just wrap up my tries in a nice sentence.
Yeah.
Yes. So
and this actually this is another area where we can.
I love missing middle housing.
Maybe do a webinar that focuses on missing middle developments as well. There's a lot of depth we can go into there. So we'll put that on the agenda for a future topic as well.
Okay, sure. So more about urban planning still. I have more. Sure. And it's so yeah, this the planning province encourages us to reduce the parking near transit, and it's great actually because we have ourselves few places that will be developed near transit, and we're excited about that new bill. That cutting red tape to build more homes. I think is the latest bill that Ontario put together. And yeah, when we started our developments, we had to fight to reduce every parking spots, and city would not be going towards it. And nowadays, it's so much easier to just go without parking if needed. Though I mean, you need to find tenants for no parking, but it's getting easier as well.
Yeah. And we're going to move on to social sustainability now.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
This is our kids socializing in the public washroom of Rome. Ancient Rome. In an ancient Rome we were exactly. And we learned there that the public lavatories, that's where the place where business was done. So they sit down to talk business.
They didn't have books or phones back then. Well, they had books. They didn't have phones.
They had
scrolls, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. So under the description of social sustainability, we have topics like health and well-being, and specifically that goes to creating an indoor environment with good air quality, natural light, comfortable, stable temperatures, and these are all things that help promote a healthy and a healthy environment for the occupants. So that these things are all derivatives of that net zero design and build. And one of the offshoots of that sustainable practice is that you get a very comfortable living environment.
Okay. Also, community engagement, that's what you can see in the picture. The tight quarters bring people together.
Fair enough.
Yes, so that was actually done in the Museum of Science and Technology. I think they still have this exhibition of poop exhibition. I think it's called. I got boys very excited. So we went there. It was very good. It was actually very good. Yes. So I recommend to everyone to go, especially if you have kids. They tend to be excited about this matter, literally. So
let's talk about community engagement.
Community. Well, I'm talking about it. So those small developments actually that I love very much. They create great community engagement. This middle housing, when people live quite a few families under one roof, that's they have to communicate to each other. They will meet each other on the staircase outside of their building. If they have community gardens, if they walk into the place to bring their kids, if they don't use cars, because that garden sprawl with cars, that's the thing that actually puts us apart. When you go to your garage, sit in the car, then drive to your work, and then you don't ever see you talk to your neighbors. The same thing you repeat in the evening, and there is no community engagement at the end. So that's the community engagement part of sustainability. Okay, well, accessibility and inclusivity. Well, again, this is every building in the Ontario Building Code, and I'm sure in all other building codes that there is a requirement of accessibility for all apartments, and we sure create accessible units in our apartments as well. And that's, to include everybody who can use different ways to get home or to visit friends. It's important and absolutely have to be not forgotten.
Yep.
So, and all of this create better quality of life, this inclusivity, community engagement, and talking about health and well-being, community gardens, all of this together. That's the essence of quality life, I would say.
Sounds good. Sounds good. There's social sustainability. I would describe it as it's not a hard numbers thing, but it's a very important aspect, and it's one of the ways you're going to differentiate your property from one that hasn't really considered those aspects. It's the difference between a building that's maybe not so quiet and not really designed for communal living, as opposed to one where you're fostering a sense of community when people live together.
Yeah.
So those are the three areas of sustainable development that we focus on and have worked hard in our development projects to implement to some level, varying levels in different projects. Now we're going to have a quick discussion of one of our projects that we have underway right now. It's a project at 10 Guildford Court, that's here in Canada, and we'll start by sharing. Just give me a second. I have sometimes technology challenge, so let's see if this works. So I'll give it a second or two for everybody's screen to update, and then you should see. Where did my mouse go? Oh, no.
Don't see mouse.
That's the thing. I can see it here. Okay, got it. So this is a 3D rendering of the building that we're working to get. Actually, we
get
were
a permit.
told last week we have our permit,
Yes.
so we have to go pick it up, and we have a few more steps to do, get our financing completed, but we have a permit. So, and the permit is for this building pretty much as you see it now.
Yeah, we're very excited about
We're
it.
keen to get this one underway.
And the permit is ready, and they will be built and in the nearest future.
Yes. And you can sort of see the roof here, but we didn't do the renderings. There's a healthy solar panel array on the roof of that building. So that's where the video was supposed to go, but when I embedded it in the presentation, it wouldn't play. So that's why you got to see it in a separate application. So let's play video. There you go. So let's talk about environmental sustainability and how it applies to the building that we're working on that we've designed and been permitted at 10 Guildford Court. So somewhere, there we go. So it's I call it net zero design. It's a 6-unit building with a relatively small roof. So it's not possible to get a solar array that meets the full 100% energy needs of the building. The array that we put on the roof is about 60% capacity for the building. So it's a net zero envelope. The wall, the opaque walls, the ones you can't see through, have a very high R value, over 30. The windows are all triple glazed, thermally broken aluminum. We're expecting to achieve an air changes per hour that's very low, and we've got very efficient heating systems in the building as well. So it's a full net zero design, just not not a big enough roof to put solar panels on to get energy for keeping all 6 of those units self-sustaining.
Agreed.
Yeah, upgrade, exactly. So talk about water conservation, and here again, things like low flow fixtures, and something that we try to implement on all of our projects if we can, particularly if it's new build, is sub-metering. Sub-metering is a great way to encourage water conservation and energy conservation, actually. Tenants tend to be more conscious of their use of energy when they realize they have to pay for it. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and it's a fairly easy sell to tenants as well, because everybody considers themselves to be fairly energy efficient. But when you tell them that if it's included in the rent, they subsidize the other 5 units as well, it makes them think that maybe they're better off paying their own utilities, so they don't have to have their rents go up because somebody else is not very energy efficient with their the way they live. The waste reduction. So we have a fair bit of prefabricated materials in the building. The walls are framed on site, but the floor and roof trusses are pre-manufactured and delivered to site. So that reduces the amount of construction waste during the project. That's probably the biggest thing we can do for construction waste. And then,
like I said, do what you can.
Do what you can. We also have natural landscaping, and Maria, you can speak to that, I guess.
Yeah, so this is not very good reflected on this image, because it was difficult for the people who needed to implement it, to imagine, I guess. But those trees that are on the image, they're actually the ones that will be there, and there's a native white spruce trees, again, to reduce irrigation needs. And the green grassy area will be all planted with native landscaping, so we don't need to, especially for the multi-unit buildings, it's a landlord who needs to take care of that. It will be pleasure to go there once a year or twice a year in the spring and the fall, take care of the grounds, and then get beautiful flowers all summer long. I am clearly looking forward to it.
Yeah. So there's a fair bit of environmental sustainability incorporated into the design. Economic sustainability, and I picked the back view because you can see these are the heat pumps, which are a good chunk of the a big contributor to economic sustainability for the building. So things like cost efficiency. So wood frame construction, which is cost efficient. 6 units in one building, which is also an efficiency increase. The use of heat pumps, solar panels, sub-metering are all systems or ways of implementing systems that will keep the building relatively inexpensive to operate when it's constructed, and also, well, I'm not going to say those systems are inexpensive to install. They're not, but their overall lifetime cost is actually quite low. So we have that going. Long-term viability. So durable finishes on the exterior and on the interior. Timeless interior design as opposed to the latest trends and fads. So we won't have to constantly update, change the paint, or redo doors on kitchens to keep them current. We've selected and will be installing efficient and reliable mechanical systems and superior windows. So these are all ways of making sure the building stays viable over the long term. For return on investment, we expect happier tenants. We expect lower operating costs for us through things like the landscaping that Maria was talking about, and for the tenants as they pay their own energy costs, and that should result in us being able to achieve higher rents and lower tenant turnover.
Yep. And again, we come to how we use missing middle in this one, and it's the prime example. The lot used to have a bungalow on it, so it's currently demolished. It has actually a hole in the ground right now. If you look on Google Maps for this address, and we gave it away as part of our sustainable planning. That was another separate story.
Well, actually, that's a great way of talking about minimizing waste, right?
Yes,
Instead of
exactly. We
demolishing
didn't
the building and
demolish
putting it in
it,
a
but
landfill,
yeah, we
it got
gave
taken
the
away and
building
put on
away.
another foundation. Yeah.
Somebody built a foundation, and they put it on, and it was completely usable, and they using it now. I think they rented it out. I don't know what's the rest story with the building, but it's saved.
Yep.
It's living somewhere else. And yeah, so it's infill development. It's on the same lot that neighboring house have one building, one family lives there. We have 6 residential units. We will have 6 residential units with 6 families. It's very walkable neighborhood, close to parks, to trails for biking, to schools, to shops, to everything. We live ourselves like 5 minutes away. We know it's very good. It is very good neighborhood for like 15 minutes neighborhood.
Yep.
Naming.
Yep. So we, I think we ticked just about all the boxes on urban planning for this project.
Yep.
Social sustainability. So here again, we talk about health and well-being, and it's a net zero building. It has very good air changes, so air quality is going to be very high in the building. Heating systems allow for direct control of heat and cool in each of the units, and sometimes even within zones within the units. We know we're going to give superior sound isolation between the units as well, and we meet or exceed all the fire code requirements for fire separation between the different units in the building. So from a health and well-being perspective, we expect it to be a great place for tenants to live.
Community engagement. So when we, well, on this one, we had great community. All the neighborhood actually was united when we had our committee of adjustment. And unfortunately, they united against us, but we united them anyhow. So hopefully when we finish building, they will be happy with what they got there, and they have good neighbors in the area, and not so much disturbance during construction. And well,
yeah,
that's yeah. Community is not always during construction or pre-construction. It's not always on your site as a developer.
Yeah, I think the catchphrase there is fear of change. Yes. And the common theme we hear is, well, we came to this neighborhood because we liked it as it was, not as it's changing. But change is inevitable, and as a developer, sometimes you have to smile, bite your teeth sometimes when people aren't being nice to you, and move ahead with your project. Be a good neighbor during construction as good as you can, because construction is a little disruptive. And when your building is completed and in operation, you bring in good tenants to live in the neighborhood.
Taking care of the grounds,
and you take care of the grounds.
Neighbors are happy with you. Neighbors appreciate this after, but yes,
but during the change,
not so much. Yes, of course.
Sometimes it's a struggle.
Yes. So, and those three units on each side, they 2 units have stairs, but for the main floor unit, the units are accessible. They're very free. They walk right from the ground. The building doesn't have a basement. It's slab on grade, and the main floor unit, you walk right from the ground, and then on the back you also walk right to the patio and to the backyard without any barriers. So that's a great place for some people who have challenges with stairs, for example. And the other units have huge balconies that, as we designed this one, we were thinking about every person who would live in the place, as we always do. I always tell everybody, when you design something, it has to be tailored to your potential tenant. You cannot do it for everyone. It has to be for someone specific. So, and then you can do the best what you can for those. This one's created for families. The backyard on would belong to the lower unit, and it's few reasons for that. So let's say tenants have dogs, and when everybody can go to the backyard, it's difficult to figure out who didn't pick up after your dog. And if the backyard belongs to only one tenant, then, well, it's the area. They're happy, the dog is happy, and landlord is happy. So the other units have large balconies instead, and like we said before, it's really close to the park and trails, so I'm sure they will be happy with what they got. They also have great triple pane windows, which will stop all the possible noise from the outside, and we really anticipating great tenants there. Happy tenants.
Yeah. So that's our case study. That's how the economic, environmental, and social sustainability been implemented in our design at 10 Guildford Court. So we'll just do a quick review of what we've been through, and then we'll go through a Q&A session. So we talked about a little bit about who we are and what our background is. We gave a definition of sustainable development, talked about why it's important, talked about different aspects of environmental, economic, and social sustainability, and then we talked about how that sustainable development model has been implemented in one of our projects at 10 Guildford Court. And excuse me, we also decided that we would do a future discussion on net zero construction, and also one on missing middle development. And if you're interested to see or hear about those, you can just grab that QR code there on the right side of the screen, and we'll tell you when we're going to set that up and deliver it. Okay, so that's it. I'm gonna. I guess I'll stop sharing my screen at this point.
You can turn off the recording probably
and
too.
We can stop the recording. Stop the recording.